was orchestrated by baseball's all-time immortal. Indeed, it helped define his immortality, and it's as controversial today as it was the day it happened, October 1st, 1932. Hello, I'm John Miller, and the "it" I'm referring to is, of course, Babe Ruth's legendary called shot home run. The shot heard round the world and forever in the course of baseball annals.
The legend is that Babe Ruth pointed to center field in the fifth inning of the game against the Cubs and showed where he was going to hit the ball, and then did so. That's the story.
Game 3 of the 1932 World Series, Yanks versus Cubs, with all the pomp and ceremony of the Fall Classic. Presidential candidate Franklin Delano Roosevelt was there to toss out the first pitch. There was an added intensity at Wrigley that day, brought on by a running feud between Ruth and the Cubs. The Bambino had accused his opponents of being cheapskates for not voting a full World Series share to their part-time players, including the former Yankee, Mark Koenig, who'd come over in a trade earlier that year. Sports writer Grantland Rice wrote that Chicago's sunny atmosphere was full of sulfur. Ruth had put together a pretty respectable season, even by his standards. In Chicago, he seemed energized from the very beginning. He pumped 9 batting practice balls into the cheap seats, and then he topped that with a 3-run homer in the first inning. After barely missing another round tripper his next time up, he came to the plate in the 5th, the score tied at 4. It was 1 out. Cubs pitcher Charlie Ruth started the battle with a hard fastball right down the middle for a called strike. The Babe responded by extending his right hand, one finger raised, as if to acknowledge the count. With the bench jockeying cascading from both dugouts, Ruth teased Ruth with 2 balls before he slipped another strike by the slugger. And so, Ruth and Ruth had arrived at the threshold of one of baseball's quintessential moments. With the packed house cheering and jeering him on, Ruth held up 2 fingers. And as this rare home movie shows, he gestured in the direction of Charlie Ruth. Or is it the Cubs bench? Or is he pointing to center field? And what we see next has to go down as one of the great feats in the history of the World Series. Listen in as the Babe himself recalls that epic moment.
Well, I stepped out of the box, and by that time they were over there going crazy. And I looked out to center field and I pointed. I got to let the next pitch ball right past the plate. Well, the good Lord has been with me.
As we watch him circle the bases, there is no question that he knows he has accomplished something extraordinary. The longest home run in Wrigley Field history, stroked with a vengeance. And still, the question lingers, did he or didn't he?
Pitcher threw the ball, Charlie Ruth, fine Cub pitcher, swore that Ruth never called his shot, that he was gesticulating in some way because of the razzing he was getting.
I was there at a game.
The man in the on-deck circle, a man named Ruth Gehrig, pretty good country ball player, swears Ruth did it. The next day he said, wasn't that something, that big monkey calling his shot and then hitting it? People are going to believe it if they want to believe it, and a great many people do. We will never know the truth. The fact is, it was either true or it should have been.